Collecting rent is one of the most important aspects of our job. We want to always be fair with our tenants. Sometimes they go through a bump and we'll get them on a payment plan, and just life happens sometimes. But for those that do not pay, we are pretty tough. And I think that's why you hire us, because we will be compassionate when we need to, but we are no nonsense when we see irresponsibility. So let me walk you through the process. Rent is due in the state of Texas on the 1st and considered late after the 3rd. So most of the tenants pay on the 2nd or the 3rd. The majority of our tenants do. On the morning of the 4th, if it's Monday through Friday, a business day, we will go through the list, finalize the list, look at who's ever paid and who has not paid or called us ahead of time, and we've entered into an agreed upon payment plan. They will receive what's called a 3-day notice to vacate. Those are sent to them via certified letter. Once they receive that, they understand the seriousness of not paying. And for those that have not paid, 95% of them will pay in the next 3 days. But let's talk about the 3 to 5% that don't. Once they've received that, we have to wait 4 days. Then we immediately go to justice court and we will file for an eviction. Once that filing is done, the constable will go out and make 3 attempts at their location or their office to serve them notice. That court is less than 15 days after, usually 10 to 15 days, but it's less than 15 days after our date of filing. If the tenant has not paid at that time, we will appear on your behalf in court representing you for a breach of contract, failure to pay rent. Once we have secured the judgment saying that we are owed this, what we ask for during that, what we've asked for during that is we ask for 1, cost of court, 2, all back rent, 3, possession of the property. So we always get that at that time. So we get that that rendering at that time. We have to wait 5 days for the tenant to appeal. So it's really 6 days because that day doesn't count. If they still have not paid on the 6th day, we will go back to court and ask for a writ of possession. And what that is the constable sees that we have been awarded the judgment, the tenant has not vacated the property or paid rent at that time, and the constable will start process for a writ of possession. At that point, we usually within about 5 days, we will go out and physically remove the tenant and all the contents of the possessions of their home and put them on the front yard. It's a pretty intense situation. We go through it, unfortunately, several times a year, but we have this down. We know what we're doing and we can get it out. Bottom line is, at any step along the way, and we want to be open to this, because the best scenario for everyone is if the tenant just bellies up and they come in and pay. But we want the control for you. So during this entire time, we can stop this proceeding and once the tenant pays. But if they don't, we want to keep the wheels in motion, because the worst time during a landlord's experience is when a tenant's in a property and not paying. We need to stop. We need to stop the loss and get the tenant out and get a new one in. Usually, generally speaking, it's between 25 to 27 days from the time of the 1st. We're usually in court and have the writ of possession back if it goes that far. So that's what happens if a tenant doesn't pay.